All right, guys, in this video, I will show you how to lap valves into a cylinder head, okay? I'm gonna be using two techniques, hand and drill. Now, I see a lot of people using drills, and I actually used one as well, but there are some issues that arise with that method and is not completely the correct way to do it. So we'll cover why you need to do it by hand. Hand is the best method. And then also, I came out with a video on how to determine if you need a valve job, okay? So you can lap the valves all you want, but if there are certain things out of spec, then lapping isn't gonna do you any good. All the products used in this video will be in the video description and in the first comment below, so make sure you check that out. Those links help me out at no cost to you. Also, I should mention what we're working on in this video is an automotive head, okay? Now, this is a motorcycle channel, so I wanna quickly state a few things about motorcycle heads and valves. Some motocross bikes, actually a lot of them, will have like titanium coated valves. If you lap those, you burn the coating off and the valves are pretty much junk after that point, okay? There's some special coating on there, and once that's gone, the valves wear extremely fast, okay? So valve jobs on motorcycle performance bikes, leave that up to the professionals. Talk to Fast Heads or other companies out there that rebuild heads. So definitely let them take care of that if it's worn out. All right, guys, so here are the heads that we are going to be using in this video, and I have several examples to show you here. Okay, so first off, I will show you an untouched set of valves and seats. Okay, meaning the valves were wire wheeled and the heads were blasted, so they're clean, and we can visually inspect what's going on and why they aren't sealing, okay? Over here, I have some that I cleaned up with a drill, but after inspecting the seat width, I am over the spec, meaning it's too wide. So the valve is sunken too far into the head, and it's out of spec per the manual, okay? And the valve guides are they're getting to the service limit, okay? So at this point, this is going to the machine shop for a valve job, but I just want to demonstrate a few things in this video and maybe it'll be helpful, okay? All right, so you're gonna want to lap by hand. That's what we're gonna go over first. I use the drill to get a lot of the pits out quickly, but you run into some issues, okay? And I'll show you what that is in a little bit. And then I have a good contact patch over here. So anyway, let's get a look at what we're dealing with and why you would lap in the first place. Okay, so let me set this head up over here, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's the worst thing here. All this pitting on the exhaust valve, okay? So these were wire wheeled up, and this is what you get. So it's like little craters all over it, okay? And same with the valve seat. So these two surfaces are uneven and there's a leak path between there, and it just simply won't seal. So you're not going to get good compression. It's not just going to work good, right? So that's what we're dealing with, okay? Now let me show you how to lap by hand. Okay, so in order to lap by hand, you're going to want to have the valve stem clean and also the valve guide clean, okay? And what you're going to take is some valve grinding compound and just put a couple dabs on. So I just like to do like three dabs, just like that. Take it and put your valve in. Okay. Next up is you're going to want one of these tools, and it has a suction cup. They make them in several different sizes. I got a small one for motorcycles, a large one for automotive, but this one here seems to work pretty good. Now you just lick it with your tongue and then stick it on there. All right. Okay, so these valves are clean, no carbon, no oil, so the suction cup sticks pretty well. Okay, what you want to do is lift the valve a little bit and turn it, and what that is going to do is distribute the compound. And you hear that grinding? That's the compound working on those two surfaces, okay? And then it's just kind of like starting a fire, okay? And as you grind, you will note that sound will kind of fade away, and what that means is the abrasives are getting pushed out. So all you got to do is lift and turn, and go like that a little bit and it'll redistribute. So you hear that? See how it's all crunchy again? Okay, I'm not going to do it for too long just to demonstrate for this video. So let's go ahead and pull that out. Okay. All right, so see this dull gray on both these surfaces? That is the honed or lapped surface. Okay? And all those dark spots here are pits that are lower than the dull gray surface. Okay, so what that means is that is a leak path, or air can just piss right out of here. Okay, so now what you want to do is go back to my video where I determine whether you need a valve job or not, is measure the width of this dull gray here and here. And if you are in spec or well below spec, you can keep lapping. Okay, if you are over spec, then these surfaces are mushroomed, worn, and you're going to want to get a valve job. Okay, and the reason is this dramatically affects how air flows across here. Okay, if you have a nice couple angles here, the flow is increased and so is the performance. And I think once the valve seat gets pretty wide, it's susceptible to getting dirtier and pitted faster, I believe. Okay, so now let me show you a completely clean two surfaces that's out of spec, but at least if you keep lapping, I'll show you what happens. Okay, so here are valves and seats that I hit with a drill in the beginning, okay, but then I followed up by hand to smooth it out. And I'll go over why it may be a bad idea to use a drill, but anyway. So you can see the dull gray on here. I was able to remove all the pits, and these surfaces look really good, okay? The problem is the valve seat width is a little wide, okay? But in any case, that looks really good from a lapping standpoint, okay? And same with the intake. So you got a dull gray surface all the way around and no pits and whatnot. So that looks really good. So if you keep lapping, ultimately that's what you're going to end up with, okay? Okay, what I have here is I moved one cylinder over. This valve and this seat was done with a drill until all pits were removed. And then over here for reference is the honed by hand, drill then hand lapped valve. Okay, notice how this is more of a dull gray and it's more uniform and much smoother. If I look here, I have like rings of death. Okay, there is just lines, circular rings all the way around the valve and the seat. Okay, so I'm gonna head over to a piece of paper and I'm gonna draw why that happened. Okay, so here's a terrible drawing of the valve and the valve seat in the head. It's a cross section, right? So what happens when you use a drill, you are rotating in one direction pretty fast, right? And what happens is if you get a piece of grit here, or here, maybe even all three right there, and you're rotating really fast, that piece of grit is staying in the same spot and it's going around and around and around and around, and what happens is it creates like micro grooves, right? So you're gonna have like these rings, okay, instead of a flat, if you will. Okay, you're gonna get these micro grooves. So that's not good either because air can leak past, right? So I did this initially because I had a lot of pits and it removed the pits real quick, right? But the problem is you're left with these guys here. So I had to follow up with hand honing, hand lapping a couple times, probably 5 minutes per valve seat, okay? Now, and then what happened is if I measured this patch here, it was just well over spec, okay? So off to the machine shop this is going. But anyway, I just wanted to describe what you get with lapping with a drill. So I'm going to cut to a video where I put a little piece of duct tape on the valve stem and I hit it with a drill from the backside, and it works, but you got to be careful about what you get. Okay, what I did is I put a little more compound on, put the valve in, put a piece of duct tape in here, and I'm going to run this thing with my drill, okay, and just see see if I can clean it up a little more. And I put a little oil on the valve stem since we are going to be rotating this a little faster. Okay, so after one round of the drill, it actually looks a lot better. Alright guys, I spent about 5 minutes, did that a couple more times with the drill. Clean this off with brake clean, and you can see that there are 0 pits, both on the valve seat and the valve face.